So we can go over the tasking first, Dave, when you find it, and we'll you want to go over that first? All right,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to go ahead and read the tasking. The remote viewers involved in this project will disregard any and all assumptions by anyone. In the 2020 United States election, Donald Trump's campaign accuses the Biden campaign of voter fraud. The remote viewers will optimally perceive how such fraud actually occurred if it did. If voter fraud did not occur, the remote viewers will focus in on the discussion between Trump and his team to tactically deal with his losing poll numbers at the time. Remote viewers will be protected and unnoticed at the target event. Intention of the project is to identify if voter fraud on a large scale actually occurred in the 2020 presidential election or if it did not. Also, if voter fraud did occur on a large scale, to identify how this voter fraud occurred and by who or what group or affiliation. So, you guys, and I talked to John about this too. You guys, it's clear enough for you guys as far as what I'm looking for in this. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, because to be honest with you, I expected really nothing. To be honest with you, I thought you guys were going to come tell me you were going to hone in on Trump, talking to all those guys and all this and that. But the session got very weird very quickly, and it's the first time it's kind of happened this way for me. So why don't you go, Elle? You were the first one that came back to me with data. So why don't you go ahead and describe your session if you would, if you want to go through that.
Sure. So I ended up doing 3 parts because the first time that I came back in the session, it was that there's some kind of a consciousness convergence technology and crafts monitoring the whole human population and recording everything that happens in Earth's history, and that there's mind control technology basically controlling the human population in perceiving things one way when in reality it's not that at all and it's different. And I saw this 5D reality where these crafts are in this technology. It's not manned by anybody, it's just a technology that different extraterrestrials have developed and left here for us to discover eventually. And this 5D environment, it's shielded and cloaked by portals, and someone in the military or something is putting devices on huge skyscraper apartment towers to try to bring down this cloaking shield around this 5D environment above Earth cities. So I saw a lot of like floating sky cities, light ships, and this consciousness convergence crafts. And they're continuing to monitor humanity, and supposedly they're supposed to help to upgrade humans in the next ascension upgrade of some sort, so we can see more clearly the reality we live in, so that we're no longer lied to or manipulated with mind control devices. And I saw several different devices, like this energetic frequency around people's heads and bodies. And somebody from afar is sending AI signals to control people to do stuff that's not of their free will choice. Then I saw the scorched earth syndrome, like different factions of psychotic cabal trying to burn down the planet, poison the food, poison the water sources, depopulate, reduce our resources basically to make us helpless. I also saw 2 presidential candidates, a female thinking about starting World War III and not making much sense, and a male candidate that feels helpless, like he can't do much in government even though he wants to, like his hands are tied. And then I saw a lot of men being led through this kind of a circular sphere or a white arch in this white room of some sort, going down through some kind of a tunnel or spinning or a portal and coming out somewhere else with medical procedures done on them. And they're feeling much better after. It's like a whole new people came out from some kind of, I guess maybe experimentation or something. So I had portals, I had shielded technology, mind control, and I had a man that's in a lot of trouble, seems to be worrying a lot, pacing, He's not told the truth to the world, and he's worried about being exposed. Government corruption, a lot of corruption going on, and that this whole thing is going to be blown wide open, and he and his team are going to be exposed for something wrong that they did, because it's him and his team, his people. That's basically the gist of what I had in these three parts.
So you had, I just want to say that I remember the white space actually came up in a few of the sessions, if I remember correctly. And I remember going over this because this was the first one back, and I'm going over and I'm like, what is this? And then I see the part of the election, mention of the election, and the female, or just some, it was as if you were kind of in the room listening to a discussion about something on a political scale, and I was like, pump the brakes, wait a minute. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Well, it's not the 2020 election that I was listening to. It's the current 2024-25 election. Kamala Harris is the female candidate wanting to start World War III. And Trump has his hands tied because he wants to make the changes, like all the necessary changes in government, but powerful, corrupted individuals are not letting him do the work he needs to do. Basically, that's what I saw. I knew right away which presidential candidates I was looking at, because the current presidential candidate is female and the other one is male, so it's Trump and Harris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was kind of my assessment over the whole thing too. Is that well, actually, I was telling Russell this. I said I don't think they're going to let him win this election, even if he wins this thing. Dave, you want to go over? Thanks, Al. Do you have any comments about L's session, Dave, or do you want to go straight into yours? Is there anything else you want to mention on that?
Do you want me to show my remote viewing quickly, like what I had?
If you had anything that you wanted to screen share.
Okay, yeah, I can share it easily. I was seeing a bunch of sky cities here that this is the 5D technology, floating sky cities above Earth 3D, that 5D reality. A lot of AI stuff came up, like AI signals that nobody's living here in these future cities that are ready for us to work with this technology. Some of these consciousness convergence crafts, more floating cities. These are those shielding systems and the mechanism that's cloaked that I was talking about, that somebody wants to uncloak this, the military, and to see this technology and use it. Like there's weird stuff appearing over cities. And again, this technology on the skyscraper city, like human cities, this technology being put on the tall apartments to uncloak this 5D environment, where these cities are, and light ships, light craft, consciousness convergence. And they look like, some of them like typical UFOs, the saucer disc shaped, very advanced technology. This is the consciousness convergence stuff that's recording human history, what happens supposedly in government, the corruption, the mind control, this new Earth, what this looks like in 5D as we're being upgraded. So there's a lot of sci-fi, looked like sci-fi, consciousness stuff coming up that was really different from what I usually see in remote viewing, the scorched earth issue of different programs, Men in Black and other programs wanting to depopulate scorched earth. And this is the mind control technology, the energetic spinning stuff in the energy frequency, mind controlling people's brains around their heads. And that's kind of done on a consciousness level, splitting the two hemispheres of the brain, kind of utilizing different portions to do the AI signaling, food disruption, food being poisoned. And this is the most interesting, those sphere kind of corridors or arches in the white room space, where the men are being taken and something is done to them. Their medical things are being done to them, and they come out being different people, like feeling brand new, not quite remembering what happened to them, like being dropped out of some kind of a portal or tunnel system. That's what I was getting quite a bit of, yeah, and that's
A
basically.
few of a
Mhm.
few of the viewers got the portals, and just want to say, as a tasker, I had expected this even after L session to get more you know, was expecting this to get like kind of less weird, and it didn't. It just got very, very strange from every single viewer. So the white space, the portals, the technology aspect of it, just a lot of data there and a lot of correlation with some of the other stuff that we have. And when I spoke to John's, I heard this, but he asked me, he said, Dave, like, and I wrapped you guys up in protection as best as I can with my intention. Whenever I send somebody anywhere around like a public figure like that, in any case, and it's not because I assume that there may be something, but I have run into things where there are. So I just feel like it just doesn't hurt to kind of wrap you guys up in that. But so very interesting, Al. I thought it was a great session. I at the time I really didn't know what to make of it, and as far as I could tell, there's some very exotic technology dealing with this, and I don't know how exactly we gained access to this. But I said to John, because he asked me, he said, well, what do you think? I said, from my perspective, John, it's like for some reason or the other, we tapped into something that is guiding the trajectory of us, however you want to describe it. But I'll leave you guys with that. Dave, thanks, Al. Dave, you want to do yours?
Yeah. Cool. So I do a recording and then I step through basically like TRV protocol, but with like a blindfold on and such. And then I take that, I get a transcript of it, which allows me to toss it into ChatGPT. And then this is what ChatGPT gave me for the session. So it basically describes some sort of technological structure. That's what I was really focusing on. My PI for this was I haven't uploaded anything to my YouTube in 5 weeks or so after my cat passed away. I spent 7 or 8 practice targets in a row missing. And then I finally got up and operational. So I was like, okay, let's do this. So when I sent my data to as well, and you gave me the feedback, I instantly was like, oh, I must have missed as well. So I had that structure I was talking about. It was popping intermittently in and out of existence. And it felt like it was related to some sort of sci-fi. So like the AOLs would be Star Wars or Star Trek. During the session, I encountered a non-human intelligence that explained its role in guiding humanity to create this. And it's more like it's an actual device type thing. It was kind of outside of space and time. So when we think of, UAPs or something interacting with people, this is more like it can't actually physically interact. It's like if I could take my room right now and just move it over to like the viewing area to the Eiffel Tower or something, but I can't actually leave that area. That's kind of the stuff that I was getting. The structure, everything was weird. So I really had all that stuff. I was very creeped out by a lot of things going on with it. Inside of that, there was hints of military involvement and secrecy, potentially linked to space exploration or the secret space program. And afterwards, I started to wonder, can I jump over to something else I did?
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Cool. So I looked into the Q stuff, which was they go into like all the election fraud stuff as well. But I took an unblind view at it and I was just expecting like nothing to really be that crazy. And this
That was
on the
before
YouTube.
this. That was before this project. I just want to say you had already done
Yes.
this. Yeah.
I'd already done this. And I was just expecting that it was probably like the Asian guy from the HBO documentary who started 8chan. And instead, what I pulled up was like sometime in the future, like 2106, there's this council of people and they're sending these little messages back into the timeline. And we're operating under free will, but we operate somewhat deterministically based off of that free will. So as long as they change these little tiny slices, there's this butterfly effect that directs our evolution. And that was related to basically the whole thing that kind of gets down to what people say is a bunch of fraud stuff. So that's kind of like that data that I got for this before correlates with a bunch of this. There's mentions of 3D and 5D. I think the concept of the structure popping in and out wasn't that it was popping in and out of space. It was like flatland where it goes higher dimensionally. So it appears like it's popping in and out, but really it's doing this like weird time space bending thing. Yeah, and then this is kind of what I was drawing, my initial impressions kinesthetically in front of me. I'm feeling it with my hands, drew a bunch of different views of whatever it was that I was seeing. And then I talked to this fine gentleman about some stuff and what they were doing, which is very odd. And then I had this thing where I'm looking up at the sky and I'm seeing something jumping in and out of these circles. So it was like these portal like things opening up and then these sort of devices kind of popping in and out of existence. There's also this, I don't know what it was, but it was very strong visual impression. It looked like a figure like this with some sort of sun around it. And then there's also this kind of doorway looking thing, which didn't we see this in somebody else's stuff, David?
Yeah.
Where there's a hallway that has these curved edges on it. Now, I remember iPhone at one point in time, like Apple, they tried to, this isn't an Apple, but they tried to patent the curves on a phone, right? And it just reminded me of that, how like all of the hallways everywhere had these curved edges and it was very futuristic white and such. So
Yeah, you guys, the very, and I think it was probably John's, but John also described this structure, these, like a structure like within something or something. But this white room, this white space seemed prevalent in almost all the sessions, I think, and as well as the portals. Again, portals. So
portals, floating craft in the air, popping in and out of existence, in three-dimensional reality, guided evolution, white spaces, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, John also
Yeah.
had a man in his 30s being experimented on some kind of a device hooked up to his head in
That's right.
in a laboratory. I have all the sessions, so David, do you want me to pull up John's and
Well, yeah, when
bullets?
you're done there,
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah.
Well,
I think I have them too right here, but
Mhm.
if you want to go through them, you can as well. If you want to screen share instead.
Oh, you're screen sharing it. Perfect.
no, that's
So,
fine. That's fine. Is this now? This is Bobux, isn't it? This is
Yes.
Bobux?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Okay.
We haven't been through his yet, or
Yeah,
John's.
yeah, you can go through Bobux first if you want. But those two had quite a bit of correlation in particular. Now, this all to me is painting a very big picture of a very exotic technology. This whole 3D, 5D thing came in quite a bit too. Which again, when I first saw that, I'm like, oh, come on! And then here we go again. It's coming back in again. Okay, so anyway, here's Bubbox, and I hope we give him justice for his own session here. But so he's got his basic stage 2 dimensionals. But interesting enough,
The AOL is
his
great.
first AOL is presidential, which is a good sign of
Yep.
being tapped into whatever we're working on. So then he goes in through his more stage 2s. Which is another interesting AOL. They're Aurora Borealis. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The lines in the sky.
Yeah. So he goes back through his stage 2s. Okay, what else he got there?
Hard angles.
Look like
Technical.
a technical sketch. So again, we're jumping in. He's bypassed the tangent of the task, and he's going right into this technology. Right into the technology.
I think he's joined. Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
Babak, you here?
Sorry for joining later.
Oh,
No
that's all
worries.
right, buddy.
We're going through
Great.
your
We just
section.
started. Wait, let's start again. Go ahead, Babak. We
Sorry.
just started looking at your session. So go ahead and describe. We were just talking about how interesting your very first AOL was presidential.
Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah. I almost forgot about that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. AOL Tune. Okay, so you go into your. Go ahead, Babak. Go ahead. Just.
Yeah, it was. I had almost this sensation from the beginning. I mean, I almost had the ideogram. I don't know. I almost saw it. I saw it, and I was compelled to do it just like that. And then I had this feeling of being pulled forward towards something like a tomb or something. This was the AOL, at least. It was like this opening which had this kind of marble aspect around and in a man-made manner, and I was just continually being pulled there, and kind of, I don't know, it was an interesting sensation, but at the same time I was thinking, what the hell am I seeing here? What am I supposed to see here?
So you're going through your stage twos. I see your next one is Aurora Borealis. That's an interesting.
Yeah, because that was the time when I started to see colors. I was actually closing my eyes, being just here, and then being at the target, and again being here, again at the target. And these images started to form in my mind, like some shapes, like some ethereal shapes, colored shapes. And this was the only AOL that could match it.
Hey, Dave, that reminds me of your popping in and out of reality kind of what you're describing there. Okay, go ahead, Baba. So this is your first sketch, right?
Yeah.
And
This
the way
was
you AOL. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
this was yeah, this is the moment I started to look better at the initial data. I saw something sketch like it was like a blueprint. And with that sort of notation or annotation, it was something like a circle there. And I said, okay, this looks like a blueprint. This looks like a technical sketch to me.
Interesting.
And then you see there bubbly, liquid ascending. So this is the moment when I started to see something like being placed inside the liquid, something maybe like a cooling liquid, and with bubbles and an iridescent kind of color, like greenish, yellowish. I don't know, like something like what you would see in a movie with crazy labs, and all sorts of bubbles, things bubbling upwards.
And your
And
AI feels mysterious to you.
yeah, this was my sensation. Kind of a late sensation because I was thinking about like when am I going to have an AI break, and I had it then.
Interesting. This is a very interesting sketch. What was your what are you? Is this the technology you're describing, Father?
Yeah, this is precisely what I saw. What started to form clearly, and there were those vertical bars placed in a vat in a liquid, and things were bubbling up. And I said, maybe this is clear. This starts to look. I'm not sure if I had that AOL like a nuclear reactor or like something which has to be placed in this liquid, these bars, in order to be cooled and to transfer information, energy, something like this. But I was not sure what I was looking at.
Yeah, it looks very high tech. I mean, from my perspective, very sciencey. And you get a lot of darkness related to this target. Now,
A lot of darkness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you mean like it's literally dark surrounding it, or like darkness is in it's like a dark topic type of thing?
You know what? It's like at first the sensation forming was like I was in this dark, vast space. And then as I was trying to concentrate on that gizmo there that you see, I observed that it was inside a room, maybe a lab room, but most of the image of this room was darkened for some reason, like covered with something dark or being part of something dark, whatever. So I was not able to see the whole room, but darkness and vastness was across all my session continually.
I noticed too with your next sketch, you have an AOL of a portal.
Yeah. Precisely, and as you can see, I said there, I annotated there that I was being pulled inside, like a sensation of falling deep inside that stuff
Mm,
which is there. And as you
wow.
can see, at the edges, I said there that it is edged, hard and stony, but inside, but something was pulling me inside, the
Mhm.
sensation of motion.
Now, Babak, you didn't see that because you got in a little bit late, but we just went over Dave and L's session, and let me tell you, Dave's sketching portals and things going in and out of it. L's got people falling out of looks like portals to me, and very much what you just described sounds a lot like what they had just previously described. From my perspective, but please go
Yeah,
on.
so all these are sensations that I received while just sitting there at the table and trying to accommodate myself better and better with the target and try to work with already what I had until then. And these things were coming to me, I mean, mostly not like AOLs, but like sensations that were a continuation to what was before.
Mm-hmm. So, what's your stage 3.5 there? What does that say? Go back, Dave, for a little bit.
Where
Oh, go back up, Dave. Would you?
when
Oh,
when
yeah.
trying
When trying to go ahead. Yep.
yeah when trying to contact the target, I feel like being like sucked in and accelerating.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay.
And then I saw this thing in a dark void. I mean a very vast dark void, and this circular thing with ethereal things, going vertical and maybe undulating and being in different colors, just like you have in again in an aurora situation, and
Mm.
possibly next to Earth. Like you see, I drew there something like a planet.
Yeah. My. I would look at that as from your description in the sketch, is a planet and some kind of energetics happening
Yes,
around it or near it.
and those dots, the dotted things there, I think they were stars or something because I saw them like in a yellowish manner and dotted.
Okay. Very interesting.
And again, this idea of a gateway, and I think I internally edited a little because when I drew this, I said, well, this kind of looks like those portals from Latin America, when there are those experiences accounted of priests, high priests trying to escape the Spaniards and passing through those portals that were opening in the stones, and the modern in the modern era now, people saying that they tried to recite mantras and make the portals vibrate, and they had experiences of passing through the portal inside this laboratory which contained our universe. So this is, yeah.
Yes.
And I
Wild
said
stuff.
there AOLBK gateway.
Yeah, it reminds me of the kind of Amaro Moro in Peru, where it's kind of like a huge carved out door
Yeah,
in the mountain and a keyhole in it. And many of the shamans go there and take people on meditations, and they consciously go through this portal underground, and there's stuff in there that is
yeah.
scientific and galactic. It reminds me of that a lot because I've remote viewed
I
similar
think you
things as
nailed it.
this.
Yeah. So, Bubba, your stage 3.5, especially the second one. But let's go over that. Tell me what your feelings were there with those stage 3.5.
Uh, yes, at that point, I started to sense like this target is not really like this target is not really maybe on Earth, or is not really very well placed in reality. And I felt like I was in someone's head and I was trying to see from behind his eyes, and maybe from
Mm,
behind his eyelids or something, like I was inside this person's head.
very interesting.
And
This is so bizarre.
Yes, and the feeling of again of the target like being in between two worlds, not really tangible or not tangible in the sense that we are accustomed to.
Interesting. Very interesting. So you go back to that dark space I see in the next
Yeah,
sketch there. Yeah.
there was a lot of dark space and probably technology and some spiritual stuff maybe.
All right. So you took a break, coming
Yeah.
back around.
Then this again, you see that the same shape came back again, but this time with motion again, accelerated motion and the curved motion at the same time. And then I had AOL BK CERN.
That's interesting. Yeah, and I definitely see some indication of some directionality there. I would
And then,
suspect with energetics or something.
and then the next sketch is precisely I saw like this bundle of energetic jets, maybe of particle, maybe of energy, like emanating from this kind of structure that you see there, like being transported from vast distances in an energetic manner and erupting in a straight manner like this, and very luminous, like many strands of energy, like just being transported here and emanating from that shape.
That is wild. I mean, does this?
So
See, when I look at this, you guys, I mean, this really reminds me. I don't know. It just kind of reminds me of the aspect that you guys talked about, like popping in and out of reality. Go on, Babak. I'm sorry to interrupt.
you see, no problem. You see, I had an AOL like portal, like transmission, hyperdrive, uh, bringing something over here, energy streams, heat, space-time wobbling, light. So it was some kind of a teleportation almost, like energy being brought from somewhere and gushing out here in this reality.
Fascinating.
Like
Very
a kind of technology that is not using pipes, man, like not using regular pipes and cables to transfer energy. Like the pipes were made of space-time.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, here I tried in S4, I tried to get some more data. I had, if you see, I started to have these intangibles like memory, deceased, far, being far, something like mnesis there on AOL as like something related probably to memory again, to remembering, to memory. And I got only that part of a word, like mnesis, amnesis, amnesia, whatever.
And you've got like amnesia. I get you. Okay, and then you have in your signal, is that regardless and spontaneous? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Well, this is an
And then
interesting
I had,
AI here.
yeah. Yeah, I had the sensation that inside of me that I didn't want to really find out what's going on, and the fear of moving beyond the AOL. Like I really do I really want to break this AOL
Ooh,
wall
that
and
is
see the
that is
and
powerful.
yeah. So I wasn't sure if I really want to not have an AOL about this. And again, something energetic like flowing down, shimmering, a flow of something from one place to another. Again, vertical, luminous, and yet into a dark place. Again, that dark place, and like a waterfall, like an energetic waterfall, being in a distant place in somewhere in space, and just flowing like this, like a curtain of something flowing flowing.
Energy is flowing from one place to another,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so now spacious again, you see at the as a dimensional, and then the idea that there is a being involved, that I am somehow in that being's mind.
Interesting. Sinister. You felt this target has a sinister component.
Yes.
You have a mind. You have a mind in your intangibles, looks like.
Yeah. Slowly aggregated. I started at some point to think that maybe this is the mind of a deceased person. I had this sensation, like trying to aggregate slowly, or being about a mind, having something in mind, something like this. And then I said, move to what needs to be really explored. And then you see as an S4.5, where does a soul go when dying? And then I feel I cannot understand further the target. I cannot follow the lead for now.
Hmm.
Again, this darkness and this sort of circular path going toward infinity, something sort of a path extending, feels like being behind someone's closed eyelids. See? And then I tried to gather the feelings about that room and the contraption that we talked about earlier. And as you can see, part of the laboratory, or said to be laboratory, is really darkened there, like something trying to protect maybe what's there, informationally speaking, or maybe it wasn't very well lit.
Mm-hmm.
And this machine reminded me of quantum computing for some reason.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so you see, this is the summary. So the session seems to indicate a sort of place and one person involved. The involvement of the being made itself clear along the session. So as I was moving in the session, I started to feel the existence of this being related to the target. This place is eerie and somewhat incomplete. A lot of darkness, but also no negative vibes. Everything is chill, cosmic, mathematical, dark, energetic sometimes. The idea of death, tomb, gateway, transmutation of energy matter through non-classical means, a sense of evanescent aurora-type pillars of energy, gas, probably stars and darkness. Yeah, and a certain contraption in the corner of a laboratory. The room is partially either unknowable, like a dark mask has been placed on the image, or partially obscure. The contraption uses some sort of vertical rods in a container, and some sort of bubbles go up, greenish, yellowish, fluorescent. AOLBK quantum computing, AOLBK nuclear. So that was all that I could squeeze from this session.
Very good. And I just want to say, considering what you guys all got back collectively, I thought you all did great. I mean, because I'll be honest with you guys, I think we're dealing with something that is so exotic. Even approaching it from a analytical perspective, fully trying to really kind of get a grasp of it. It's so beyond. It just seems so exotic. It seems like you guys are all describing something that's like next level technology. Go ahead,
And
Elle.
if I may, like when I did the paper session on the second target, I was getting reptilians shape-shifting and other extraterrestrials on Earth, trying to mask to pass as humans, but their bodies were like tall, 7 feet tall, muscular, and putting on this kind of thought consciousness overlay over themselves so that humans wouldn't recognize them for what they are as non-human, interacting with humans. for several months, like 3 to 6 months out of the year, they can be here on Earth working among humans and looking like humans. So they have thought consciousness abilities to project their mind into human minds and show them something else. They're able to shift their body somewhat, but they're shifting human consciousness, so humans perceive them as being human, yet they're reptilian or insectoid-like. So there's something different about them that we can perceive but not really see, because they're projecting things into our minds with their consciousness, and that's an organic technology of abilities that they have, and they're among us, working among us, living among us, doing stuff.
So, Dave, because the three of you all mentioned a being of some kind. What was your thoughts on the guy that you bumped into, Dave?
Trying to remember. Like I'm trying to remember.
I mean, he wasn't human.
It's
Clearly,
like-
he wasn't human. But a lot of you guys mentioned like you didn't have a super aggressive vibe. But I don't. Let's jump into John's,
Yep.
and then we'll go from there.
I got
Well,
my
and-
notes up here.
And I remember Dave saying in the session that it looked like it was insectoid with ridges on its head. When I
Yeah.
was talking to you.
It was also very muscular as well and taller. But the
Interesting.
vibe that I got from that was more what my ChatGPT thing tells me of my session is that it was like a Big Brother vibe, where it had a presence of an elongated alien figure with a nasally robotic voice. Figure hints at some sort of technological guidance or treaty with humans, comparing humanity to a little baby brother. And their purpose is to help us advance in very small steps, but kind of like letting us screw up along the way as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so I also got that I also got the sensation of a being, but I was not sure, or I didn't get the alien vibe. I missed that part, if there was. But anyway, the perspective, the place from which this being sees things is clearly not from here. They seem to see things from the orbit.
Yeah,
And
higher
the
perspective.
axis.
Higher perspective. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that
they're
was clearly.
sitting above.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You want to pull up John's?
Did John just have the video, or did he also have the PDF?
He had a PDF too.
Ah,
You don't have the PDF on you?
I have his
know.
PDF.
Yeah.
Do you want me to pull it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I'm gonna go and pull it up right now.
Yeah, just for the people that do listen, John, and we'll have to figure out how we're going to do that. But John can do what he wants. But John has a very interesting video that relates to this session as well.
So,
But go ahead.
do you want me to share that right now?
The PDF.
Oh.
You can share the PDF.
Yes, John's PDF.
Real quick before we move on, I've done 3 sessions now on like near-death experiences and such, and that circular shape with the stony ridge thing to like something at the end is exactly what I get every time. And then when you go to the end of it, you end up in a white void area, and there's just so much corroborating data with everything that we're talking about here. I just found that really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I guess I'm just going to run through it from John's. This is John's page 1?
yeah.
Okay.
Page 1 of 18.
Yes, let's see what he's got here. Something is out of order.
Do you want me to go up or?
Yeah, you could. But hold on. Let's just okay. Let's see. Black mist. Okay, yeah, you can go up. Axial. I remember he's got that. Okay, go ahead and scroll up. See what else. Now John had described. Oh, look at this. So you can AOL ectoplasm. John described the technology primarily from what I recall, and he had sketched something like a transformer. It's very interesting. Go ahead, El. You can scroll up. Okay, hold on. we got forceful. He's got movement. He's got all this dynamic action. Technology, benign to benefit. He's questioning himself. Okay, so absolve, restitution. Go ahead and scroll up a little bit. Energetic event or moment in time. Okay.
You also have possession.
Yeah. It's an interesting. It reminds me of like the infinity. I wonder if that's what he's relating to here. Yeah, it's hard to read his writing, but if you look at some of the sketches, though, he's got the dots. Positioning. Go ahead and scroll up a bit now.
You said that this was a vortex of some kind, an energy movement
Okay.
in the video.
Okay, yeah, static. What does that say there? Explosive. Yeah, we should have probably went over the video first. Okay, go ahead. Scroll up if you would.
This came up several times in his video as a vortex, like an energy moving, spinning, flowing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's got like coil, current flows. Go ahead and scroll up a bit. Coil, transformer, opening, spinning. Does that say something? Motion, aberration. So it's static, and so basically from our perspective, this looks like he's a lot of energy, a lot of technology happening here. Go ahead, O.
He said something about people being captive,
Mm-hmm.
sensing people and places.
Yeah. Terminal velocity, transgression, solid. Okay, keep going.
He was saying dulce.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Go ahead and jump in. Oh, I can't. I'm going off my phone screen here.
Yeah, he's saying solid, a lid, pertinent to something, dulce, numbing, evasive.
Tracking? Is that tracking?
Yeah,
Touching.
tracking some kind of a technology, ally, that there's an ally of some sort.
Okay.
I love this one, the white room or space.
Yeah, yes.
That's
The
great.
white room again. Lab?
The lab, yeah.
See?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Static in the air. Pressure, air, metrics and measurements, time, unit, scale, timeline. Interesting.
Like two openings in a room, two portals, vortexes, maybe, like, because there's one door in, one door out. That's what it looks like.
I just want to say real quick here, when I talked to John about this, I remember asking, I said, from some of the data, it's almost there's two timelines happening at the same time, and it's almost like they could look up ahead and see what's going on and kind of make adjustments. And that was kind of like, from my perspective, a very rudimentary, just what I was kind of seeing with this timelines and this, that, and the other. But what else does that say there, Al? Can you see?
Yeah, it says vortex-like tangents, lines being mapped, superconductive, amassing something, airflow, flow in space, a lot of flow of elements. He keeps saying vortex, like that pops in several times, and now he's mapping the timeline of what this is, past, present, and future.
Covered, concealed.
Locked. Weighted.
Yeah, like he's got current timeline, and I don't know what he had before that, but just interesting. He's pulling in the timeline in general with this.
Yeah, he kept talking about franchising. Something has been franchised and put into focus and motion. Something has been put forward and done. And it felt positive to him, splendid. At some points felt not so positive, and then just realigning and regaining control of the upper hand. And he was going past, present, and future. seeing something regaining control from above, like cities or something from aerial view from above being seen.
Hmm.
That's what he was talking about.
Poetic, dynamic, dynamo, depressing. What does that say? Changing?
Chaotic, evaporative movement along the axis points, support negative aspect, axial support negative aspect.
You know, it's again this to me. I feel like he's going in on this energy that a lot of you guys discussed. What Babak described as aurora borealis, and some of the stuff that you guys have. I mean, to me, that just looks like energy. Is what he's trying to express there.
Yeah, and he keeps drawing this vortex infinity symbol,
Mm-hmm.
energetic frequency of some sort. That popped up 3 times in his video.
Yeah. Spinning out of alignment. Mass. Let's say there.
Spectrometry.
Yeah.
Iridium, iron, tumult. Split lines, copper, electricity. Rotating mass, yeah. Alignment, something going in and out of alignment. Superflow, electrics, mass. I guess he's looking at the axis points of this.
Yeah. Time sensitive or persistent. Box exploding. Okay, so a tired person experimenting, question mark. Okay, so mind trip. Mind craft. Walked out of a. Yeah, I think because he did describe this guy. Yeah, there's some strange things going on there with people.
Yeah, he said walked out of an area, given blanket, given the clothing back, a man.
Mhm.
Though so he was talking about something about having a missing ingredient. Circumventing a cycle of some kind.
Mhm.
And something being prescient and needing immediate action. And he drew a guy in his 30s being experimented on in some kind of a white room laboratory with electrodes on his head and not wearing
Mhm.
clothing. People being nude, bodies being processed.
I'll tell you, it's so bizarre, guys. It's almost like we're getting a peek from like another layer of our reality. Almost, it's just really bizarre. What else does he have in there? Stonewalled, capacitated. All right, go ahead and keep going.
Yeah, he said a male figure, young to middle age, light hair, intern, midterm.
Midterm, yeah.
Yes. Enforcement subdued, tired, drained, incapacitated, stonewalled. So some guy being experimented on, and in the video he was saying that this was in a lab of some sort, and this guy had electrodes connected to his head, and then something was being done to his mind. Then after that was done, he was walked out, covered, wrapped up in a blanket, and then given his clothes back.
Looks like a spiral formation to me. Looks like a portal of vortices.
Says imprisoned magistrate, modeled, terminated, or terminate.
Wild and energetic. What does it say? Going off the charts.
Yes.
That's an interesting little data bit there.
Could those be like brain waves.
Could be.
Enclosed, looped in, technical.
See some of this like untouched versus time. Is that what he's got down
Franchised, moving, increasing, flowing, torpid.
He's got carnal knowledge, like having carnal knowledge.
Something is being amassed, mounting, rigidity, prized, controlled, carnal. Yeah. Carnal knowledge, explosive, dynamic release, flow, outflow. A lot of things being amassed. Touched versus tame. Untouched versus tame. And like lines, rigid.
Does that say velocity expression? Oh, terminal velocity expression.
This reminds me so much of that structure from the other session.
From your time slot set from the, you talking about that?
No, the last session we looked at
Oh yeah, Bobbux
with the energy moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, amassed torque, splendid balance, meaning, beneficial, turning of labs, loss of control, a plunge, rigid, control, apparatus, mechanism, and he said grooved and pleated, rising, falling.
Oh, that looks pretty cosmic to me. Quantum flux. What is that? Okay, it says virus, but quantum flux, spinning.
Gravity spinning motion.
There's those portals popping in and out.
Again.
Yeah. Space time.
Infinity.
Interesting.
It reminds me of those kind of energetic shields and what people are seeing in the sky, like blue frequency and blue energy that I had in my first part one of the remote viewing. Like these kind of shielded portals or shielded entrances were popping in and out in the sky, and sometimes the shielding would come down and people would see it. That reminds me of this in the first part. Permanent spiral.
Loophole. Vital flaw.
Superlized, dicey.
Again, he's mentioning the technology again.
Yeah. Virtual vital flaw, and he's doing kind of a tunnel thing or something tunneling.
Does it say something like something AMNE there? Amnesia,
Amnimeter. It looks like he's talking. He says something in volts, technology. Dual. Looks like it says dual volt technology. Maybe.
Yes. So a lot of spinning, a lot of looping. Something like going like this. Vital flaw with an arrow.
Related to time.
Fractured, loosened, bastion, bastardized. decline in use or level. So like this technology is being used, sometimes it goes up or down in levels and declines and being used again. That's what he was saying in the video.
Okay, is this used still? Is that what he said?
Yeah, is this still being used post nexus point? And he said he saw somebody reading a book or books, shifting in time forward, spinning.
That almost just kind of reminds me of like a singularity or something. You don't know, it's just interesting.
That
Yeah.
looks so much like the other, like the thing with the two doors that we were talking about. Does it not? It's like the same drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just some more
Yeah.
lines. Yeah.
Blowing apart or blowing at the end. Some dropping in nature. Something being repositioned, revitalized, calm and peaceful. Going down. Like something being changed in nature to more of a positive, rewriting history in a positive way. Because I was reading the middle part. So something shifting in time and changing. And then he says end of session.
Interesting. Yeah, he had a very interesting video too, and I'm gonna end up posting that, and hopefully he does too.
Target 8184-2761. Whoops. What's today? First. All right. 8184-2761 is the target. Axial, curved, misshapen. Smooth. Round. Something misshapen about it. flow. Round. Idea of round. Something is out of whack or order. Kind of reminds me of like a spiral and a shaft, or like a shock absorber type strut looking called a man-made object. Some kind of design. Has flow. Maybe an armature. Kind of dark out emanation, gas, mist, release, outpouring, not sure. Almost sticky or gooey. It's like a residue. Residue. Mist. Emanation. AOL ectoplasm, I guess. Yeah. the sense of technology. I want to say benign or to benefit, but I'm really not sure. It's kind of what immediately vaguely comes to mind. It's not real certain on that. Weird perceptions. Not sure if I'm off track. Possession. Possession. Okay. Now it's making me think of Ghostbusters. Or The Exorcist. Kind of energetic. Event or moment in time. This seems like a sort of an electronic explosion. Absolve, whatever that means. It's intense. It's flaring, or a flare out. I don't know, get restitution. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of absolve. I don't. It's maybe mental noise. Restitution? Question mark. Intransigent. Damn it. Flame. the weird sense of spinning spiral, more of this sort of shape I had before, and it's making my mind spin or have the feeling of twisting around, movements being sort of spun around, as in like your awareness, consciousness, so that's how I'm perceiving this movement about. What's this? It's like forceful, herky, jerky movement. Maybe it's in daylight. Not sure or how that would be relevant, but moving on. Static. Maybe, electricity, staticky. Got movement. Seminal. KG. KG. Explosive. It's energetic. Okay, so what is this thing? Describe what is turbid, turbid, turbid. Axial flow, Revolutions. Jesus. Revolutions around. What's going on here? I almost get the sense this is boxed in a space, confined. It's confined to an area. And like a scientific experiment. Okay, that's kind of hard to read. Is this thing positive? It feels positive. Sense some patterns. It's like a dot matrix type alignment. A matrix of dots, dimples, bumps, whatever. Something new. Formidable perhaps. New, flaring, flashy, it's pumped up. Modus operandi. Get the sense of current. Flow. Static. I want to say it's like a transformer type thing. Reminds me of a Tesla coil. Coil transformer like. Yeah, so and it's spinning. We do have motion. Like a spinnaker. And there's seems to be an aberration. What's the scientist's name? Pericles or something like that. Aberration. Captive, resistance, motion, could be electronics, capacitors, electronics, electrical circuits, electricity. That sort of thing. Terminal velocity. Transgression. Ally. Emancipate. Not sure on that. Just putting it out there. This is something solid. A lid. Pertinent. I don't know if that's a lid metaphorically or literally. A lid on something. Get the sort of quasi mind noise of Dulce. Something numbing. Evasive. Touching me, touching you. I'm seeing a white space, like a white room. Could be laboratory type conditions or something clean room, or new, or futuristic, or it's just white. And then I see these flow channels. Okay, it's like where something could flow into flow space. See something real quick. Doggone it. Alrighty, they're upside down now. Flow channels, flow space. White room or space. Lab. It's like almost like static electricity in the air. It's like a vortex. Like static airflow. Pressure. I don't know if it's air pressure. Metrics or measurements, time, units. scale. Hope I'm not on a wild goose chase. Tangents. Lines. Mapped. Superlative. Amassing. Timeline. With that said, let's do a timeline. Current timeline. Future. Past. This would be past most relevant point. Most relevant point. We'll call this 1, 2, 3, 1. Something covered, blocked, concealed, weighted. Withdrawn. Franchise. Franchised. Made common. Fortuitous. Fractured, derailed, okay. Denatured, deplatformed. Seems to be this theme. There's technology, it seems to be, for the time being, there's the current time frame, it's weighted down, withdrawn, blocked, concealed, and then it's derailed, deplatformed, denatured, whatever, fractured. Before that, in the origin, at the origin point, seemed to be something common, franchise, ongoing, and fruitful, apparently. Summary of that. In summary, something. Jesus. Positive or splendid is changed. From an upper area. Area. Region. Possibly at or from above. Where I'm going with this. Hopefully not a dead end. It's fluidic. Dynamic. Dynamo. Changing. Dispersing. Feeling very chaotic here. Chaotic. Energetic. Here, I think a regular pencil would be better. Movement along like axis. So axis comes up again. Axial support. That may be the negative aspect. Gosh, I don't know. It's spinning. Is it out of alignment? Rotating, mass, Okay. Describe the mass. Get the sense of these jagged lines, copper, could be electricity. Mass. Spectrometry. Iridium, iron, tumults, it's like split lines. Reminds me of like a color spectrometry, redshift, patterns, elements. Oh Lord. Mass and electronics. Who knows? Mass and electronics. Superflow. It's the heart of the question here. What needs to be known? It's like X. X is the spot. X dot Y. X times Y. The missing ingredient. It's circuitous, you know, like a circular cycle. Ingredient. I get the sense of someone's being walked out of like a chamber or a room with a blanket or towel over them or coat placed over them. Someone's guiding them out, and this person is tired or lacking energy or dilapidated or spent, and so they're being helped out. I don't know if they were hooked to this equipment, part of this equipment, part of this experiment, working or otherwise involved. They seem to be I don't want to read too much into it, but I get the feeling of experimented on, mind experiment, Minecraft, mind trip, sort of. What's that 80s movie? It's kind of almost like being cut back out of the Matrix, released. I don't know. This could be a tangent. The whole thing could be a tangent. So. And then there's this box. A box. Tired person. Experimented. Mind trip. Or Minecraft. Walked out of area with blanket or clothes. A box. Exploding. So it reminds me there is this explosive aspect. Gee willikers. Time sensitive or prescient or relying on time, relevant to time. Okay. Main subjects, if any. Kind of have some flaring cheekbones, whoever this person is. They don't seem to have much expression right here. Male figure. Young to middle-aged. Just getting these geometric aspects of how a person feels. So seems somewhat calm. Not sure if they're aloof, but a little bit low in emotion right now. Actually, eyes are a little wider apart. Nose slightly bigger. Get the sense of light hair, medium length, slightly curly. Yeah, not real long. Maybe even not that long on top. It's really more light hair. Probably not that long of a jaw. Eyebrows a little lower. Probably take this away. But these cheeks are still somewhat prominent. We need to keep those. Maybe a little bit of a inward cheek. Seems to be that so-called patient or individual. Whatever. Roll. Intern, midterm, midterm. Midterm. Yeah, seems a little emotionless. Subdued. Ay, ay, ay. Tired. Drained. Capacitated? Capacited. Like incapacitated. Stone wall. Underlying dynamic. Dynamic of main import. Now I gotta go deeper on this. Something challenging here. Challenged. alert. I don't know if this is imagination, but it feels like this person is like a similar to a patient. Might be there against their own will in some way. Or drugged. Maybe. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just have this sense of like this person is maybe 30 years old, plus or minus. But I have the sense of like bodies, you know, just like bodies to be used. I won't say guinea pig, I wouldn't say lab rat, but it's like used in the name of science or testing or whatever this program or process is. Does seem to be nude. Nude. Bodies for the process. There's something about it that's like denaturing. Wouldn't even say cheapening, but it's like reducing down to like that, to that carnal level of not just physicality, but I hate that. Stupid. But on the level of a lab or hospital, flaring up, flare up, this sense of imprisoned. Magistrate. sort of locked in here in this process. Enclosed, looped in. It's tailored, and of course I'm like resisting the urge. I'm just being neutral, okay? So I'm, you know, you do have flashes or thoughts of this alien-related abduction type thing, testing, experimenting. So I'm putting that out there. Modeled. Terminal. Woo. It's like getting wild and energetic there. Wild and energetic. Something like kind of going off the charts. I could be reading this entirely the wrong way. I do feel like I'm picking up on aspects of this. Let's try to find out what that aspect is that's like getting in a frenzy. Frenzied and mounting. It's increasing, it's glowing. Go a little higher level here. Interlocking. Amassed. Turpid. Tepid, I don't know, turpid, torpid, scintillating. Torpid and scintillating. From this, it's like tight, rigid, full. Mounting. Rigidity. What on earth? I want to say prize, control. carnal knowledge. This dynamic here, what's this? Explosive. Dynamo. Is it a release? Flow. Outflow. Untouched versus tame. And amassed. Rising. And then falling. Fucking piece of shit. Pardon my language. Rigid control apparatus mechanism. Apparatus mechanism. Groove. Completed. Kind of reminds me of that earlier spiral device, transformer coil, strut looking thing. Rising, falling. Amass. Fork. Yeah, I don't know. Splendid. Balance. Meaning. Beneficial. Seems at odds with what was before, so maybe maybe something's changed for the good. Maybe it's, you know, related to this bursting out or releasing or outflowing. I don't know. Maybe it's all just technical. There's a rising and a falling. Turning of the tides. Turning of tides. Lose control. Maybe. Some kind of plunge. That's 14. That's 13. Got a terminal velocity type thing. Expression. Get the word virus. It's sort of it's emblematic of space-time infinity, maybe, or flux, or quantum gravity. Spinning motion. Quantum flux, gravity. Yeah, spinning motion. Ay. Space, time, infinity. Not really doing this much justice, but one reason why I don't prefer the tablet, except for convenience sake. It really is more limited. And for me, messy anyways. That's just me. This is like through. loophole. Intransigent. It's kind of like through the portal, I guess. Vital. Nah. Permanent. Permanent versus superficial versus superficial. Maybe it's something dicey. Flow. Ammeter. It's ammeter related. Electricity. Dial in. Volts. Here we're looking at technology again. This is a technology that's going to be applied to humans, applied to situation, future. Is it going to be changed? Is it going to be repressed? Fractured. Fractured. Loosened. Bastardized. Maybe it's gonna go on the decline. Decline in use or in nature or different level. Kind of reminds me of like a technology that maybe it's used less, dies out, whether it's AI or something else, or who knows. Seems to be this whole electrical aspect. It's related to time, related to Seems to be some question mark about it. See, is this used still after this nexus point? Call it post nexus point. It's dropping off. Get an image of reading books or reading a book. Time. In time, I guess. Looks like a cliffs or a canyon. We got here. In nature, somewhat remote, restitution. Seems calm and peaceful. So in that way, maybe this has changed. Gonna call end of session here, unless there's another useful piece of information. Just seems like blowing apart, or I want to say blowing apart or blowing the lid off. But it's part of this pressure cook thing situation, maybe. Or it's technically, it's a technical pressure buildup, but explodes, leaks out, or both, or neither. End of session. End of the session. All right. Thanks a lot. Take her easy.
So here's, as the tasker for this project, here is kind of my basic summation. And I'd like to hear from all you guys. One thing from my perspective is, my expectations for this target were to be relatively mundane, to be completely honest. But it's clear to me, I've seen enough work, that there's clearly something going on at a very high level. I don't need, to be honest with you, I'm surprised you guys were able to access it. It's pretty amazing. What at first I just want to say too, to anybody that ends up watching this, by all means, anything like this, I would suggest you go out there, task your own remote viewers, task it differently, do whatever you want. But everybody on this project was blind to this target, and they all basically, among other things, described as very exotic technology and this manipulation of time and space and a lot of exotic stuff. So that much I think is pretty evident to me. Let me ask you this. Do you guys think that after doing this project, do you think that the voting process, does it mean anything? What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know, man. Neither here the actual voting process doesn't mean anything. It's just something that we have to do every 4 years, like this show that has to go on. And after we're voting anyway, the things are continued to go the same direction, So it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. I have been kept my eyes on the U.S. Elections. I have my own political opinions. I'm not going to talk about it now, but for all I know, maybe both sides have their hands into this thing, but both sides tried to use the secret services and different backdoors to try and do something. Because I followed a lot of the news and the alternate news and whatever and whatnot, and I know that at least there is some sort of an electronic system that could have been used, but now what we're seeing here, I don't think it's related to that. It's some kind of.
To me, this seems like it's on a, I don't think this is one party or the other. To me, it's higher level.
Yeah. It doesn't relate what I'm saying now to our sessions. It's something completely different, because if it was something mundane, then at least one of us would have got it, but no.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Dave?
I feel like a lot of this is describing that technology in the time that I've taken a look at this priorly. And it's basically describing the technology of how timelines get changed. That's what it kind of looks like to me. Originally, you'd think like, was Space Force involved? Was it about capturing connections across like continents and stuff to see if there is some sort of electronic manipulation? But all of our stuff really dives into that really weird stuff outside of time and space. And that's what I got previously as well. So that's very interesting to me.
I'm going to title this "The Hidden Hand" because I think it's appropriate for what we're looking at. It's the best way I could describe it. It's not what I initially would have thought to call it, the project, but
in that session, I had a hand over top of the Earth as an AOL, and it was basically like the hand that's controlling reality. And it was doing this directed evolution thing to drive us in a particular direction. Now, in terms of do elections matter, that was the thing that I got in that last part, which didn't deal with the technology. It was just like, is this possible or something? And it's not that a political candidate is important. It's that there's some like very long-term goal, and that there's this butterfly effect that happens. So maybe it looks like something good or bad is happening today, but that actually has, nth order consequences 20, 30, 40, 100 years from now, right? And that it's kind of outside of that system where they're taking into effect the long game. So maybe you'd allow something that in our timeline seems atrocious to happen because it actually prevents something longer term from happening. But it didn't seem like it was very specific to like who do they want to win in 2020 or 2024 or anyone. It's more like who do they want to win? How do they want humanity to go long term, hundreds or thousands of years?
Yeah. How do we get humanity to this point, at whatever point that they're trying to guide us to? So yes, yeah. So from that perspective, it may not even be. It may be we vote for the person that's going to be the best trajectory. What if we don't? So if we don't, is that where something steps in, starts slicing up our timeline and injecting these changes to make it be whatever it is?
If there are things getting inserted and we're operating under free will, but they can see the interactions of when they make an insertion to the timeline, they can see how we react to the free will because the end game gets changed. That's possibly what's going on here, or what we're describing. This is a lot cooler than just, some normal corporate espionage type of stuff.
Well, that's what makes you wonder if this is what I've talked about for the longest time, is if there is a predestined plot, and from our perspective, it just feels like it's not, but we may be walking a path that's plotted out already. We just can't, from our perspective, we don't know, we're playing it one frame at a time.
Sacred timeline. Yeah.
Elle, what are your thoughts, sir?
Well, I've remote viewed in previous remote viewings stuff concerning the voter fraud in US and 2020 election in Canada. And I can only say this: government is not what it seems. And the presidential people who are elected and vice presidents, they might not all be human. They might not all be organic completely. From what I had in my remote viewings, I had cloning involved. I had non-human aspects involved. So for me, voter fraud can very much be possible because we're not being told what's really going on behind closed doors in government. We may elect somebody, but we don't really know what they're doing behind closed doors. They may appear as one person, but they're totally something different. So for me, what I found in John's remote viewing, like the person in the lab being walked out in a blanket without their clothing, experimentation and mind control is done on humans, on maybe presidential candidates, interns, who's working in the White House, stuff like that. Like, there's more to government than what it seems. Doesn't matter who you vote in. They're doing stuff, advanced stuff behind closed doors that we're not privy to, but perhaps we're seeing a shift in a window in time, what's really going on behind closed doors. Government, Space Force, secret space programs, advanced technology, they're not disclosing that to us publicly. Maybe we're seeing what these teams of government leaders are talking about behind doors, not just voter fraud, but something more beyond it that we were tapped to look at and tapped into more than what it seemed, and going further to what that stuff is. I mean, Congress is keeping secrets. In a remote viewing that David did for me, Congress was talking about reverse engineered crafts, whistleblowers, NHI technology. That's something David saw in something I tasked him with not too long ago.
I think that was where Congress was meeting in secret or something.
Yes, yeah. And looking at crash site retrievals, NHI technology. So there's a lot in government going on, more than what we know about, but we're seeing a window in time what that reality could be and much more. That's my perception.
Well, thank you guys, everybody, for being involved in the project and the hard work. I think it's a great. It's one of those that it's just quite bizarre and leads to more and more questions. Like I said, that's why I invite people to dig into it, because I think there's something very interesting going on here, and I think there's a lot that we're not being told, and this, from my perspective, is like a whole nother. I've always said to me, it seems like we live in a layered cake of reality, and to me, it's like this is something that's playing games, at the next level. So anyway, so thanks, guys. Any final thoughts here? Anybody wants to add?
I was getting AI signals controlling people's minds through advanced tech, so I wouldn't put it past that that's happening on some level in government and other organizations and stuff, trying to control people's minds to influence them to vote one way or another. That's a possibility too. That was at the back of my mind. As I was, I guess, at the end of the target or in the middle. How is mind controlled and AI used to just put subliminal things in people's minds, and that we need to be aware of this technology, that this stuff exists out there?
Well, if it's about time travel or timeline engineering, I suppose already you observe that our reality seems to be more and more chaotic, and more stupid decisions being made. Or are they really stupid? I mean, and nothing seems to make sense to us like it was making sense like 40 years ago or 30 years ago. Like things were going forward following a certain logic, at least. But now you see accidents, now you see last hour decisions. Now it's like this, now it isn't like this, now we're going to do like this. Okay, so I had this idea since a few years now. It's been a few years since I had this idea that governments were already using, for example, AI to try to model the different responses that the population or other governments are going to have with respect to their decision. And then why? Because I know that, for example, in the First World War and the Second World War, men were doing this, making decisions, and you could sense that there was someone behind that decisions. You knew it was a decision clearly made and things were following. But now you can see this lukewarm thing, where everything is stalled until something happens, but it can be stalled for years. So what I understood then is that only AI thinks like this, because what it does is to take a little piece from here and compare it with a little piece from here, and it's going to say to one politician, you're going to say this thing because it may have this effect, and then you'll see that politician withdrawing his declaration, and you're asking yourself, what the hell, what is he thinking? This is what he's thinking. Actually, he's not thinking, something else is thinking for them. And this is why everything takes so much time now. Even a simple war, excuse me, but most of the things that they are fighting for today, in 1918, they would have been solved like slam bam and whatever, decisions and bang, everything was solved one way or another. But now it's not. It's like a continuous chess game. And when you have a lot of computational capacity to allow you to make to model the development of history, then certain people like you, me, like we are highly intuitive, we are going to sense that something is not quite right. Okay, and this can be done classically using AI, or it can be done non-classically using some hidden technologies that we don't know about, but I see we bump into them during our remote viewing sessions. And a few weeks ago, I actually had this sensation that our timeline is being like manipulated, and I was in my head, I was feeling like two things competing, like two outcomes competing, at least two outcomes. And I said, what is this? I was showering, I was not doing remote viewing, and I was rubbing myself with the towel, and suddenly I had that sensation and that knowing that there is something happening. And we all perceived a person. Someone perceived a person in a lab, and experiments are being done. And I saw there maybe brain waves. So I mean, maybe they are using something like in the theory of the Montauk chair, like using some guys to use their mind to imprint something on the society, on whatever is going on, and maybe using also timelines. But when even us, when we're doing remote viewing, we are kind of manipulating the timelines in a at a micro scale, because we are finding something out, and the task manager can react on what we are getting from the future. So this is but imagine what can be done at greater scales when you have billions of dollars black budgets at your disposition. But we are feeling this. Some of us are feeling this thing. Yeah. So what if whatever is going on here is like in our world, like politics and whatever, is actually happening inside someone's brain who is linked to a chair and cannot escape, and he's actually used to compete this to compute all this stuff.
Yeah, from my perspective, it does play into the algorithm. The I don't know. To me, that the holographic universe theory is more and more and more and more and more like. But yeah, from my perspective too, Babak, it seems like literally to me, it's exactly that. Like somebody's threading our timeline. Like Dave mentioned, the sacred timeline. Like you said, there may be two timelines, a tangent. Um, and it could be we're competing with another timeline. I don't know. But a literal timeline seems to be involved here, and that's not just with this project. I've seen that with many projects. Then you see so much of one thing from all different directions. It's hard to ignore it. But what's you're saying, Dave? History proves futures past. Is that what it is?
Future proofs the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got my start in simulation theory and stuff probably like 21 years ago or so, and that led me to go look for glitches in reality. And now I notice them all the time. And one synchronicity that I just had was yesterday I was in my shower going like this, washing my hair, and then all of a sudden data started coming through, and I came up here and like finished off the session that lasts like 35 minutes or so. But there's something about showers and doing that. My latest glitch was when my cat had passed away. I went to go get his favorite sweatshirt of mine, and it wasn't there in the closet. So then when we picked him up, back, I wanted to like rest him on it. So we had looked again. We spent hours trying to look for it. It was literally just right there in the closet where we had spent hours trying to look. It came back. And I had a basketball that I had one basketball of that, and now I have two. And I don't even know where those things came from. But I notice stuff like that all the time. And so I've long suspected that we're having branches trimmed in the timeline where for some reason, like we have free will, stuff goes along, but then if you pay attention close enough, you'll start to notice that things are changing. And this could be part of that.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I want to go ahead and try and wrap this up, guys. And thank you guys. Dave, thanks for hosting. Thanks everybody for participating. And, you guys have my arm for paper if you need it. I'm definitely willing to return the favor at any point. And thank you for participating, everybody. And you're free to do what you will with the data. I plan on posting this once I get power back in my house. Yeah, so I just want to say thanks, everybody.
You're welcome.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.